7 mils fine, then you can that's an extra couple of boat lengths again. And if you're on a first beat and you're not doing that, that's just that little spurt away that can get you clear air and get you free.
So that would be the case. Sometimes the spreader mark's quite upwind, doesn't it? So you end up, you're kind of almost close reaching into it. But sometimes the spreader mark's set more like that, so that you could come round and then get your spinnaker up and go across there.
It's all about little games.
It's interesting. I was in the Scottish Series with McClure, and shame he's not here tonight. And he would do a lot of poleless hoists. Are you favour of that, or is that something you'd rarely do?
Well, you've got options at the hoist point. I mean, for instance, if the wind had swung round, so it wasn't really straight down, and it had actually, for instance, gone round to there, and you're heading back down to there, and it was kind of paramount to come round and jibe as early as possible. In that situation, you would jibe and hoist. So you do a jibe hoist. You get the spinnaker out. You'd have the bowman or the forward sheet hand holding the guy as a sort of a human guy, and then you follow it on with the pole. Depends on circumstance, but you have got different options. You've got the standard hoist, and then you've got the jibe hoist. That's the other normal one.
Come round like that. So you'd hoist the spinnaker as you were pretty much jibing round the mark then.
And that would be a poleless hoist.
Yes,
because
you need the spinnaker up as early as possible, so you get the sail in the air, get it filled,
get someone holding it out. So that would be the guy, and just get somebody standing holding it out until you get the pole on.
And would you say that if you had to jibe and then hoist virtually all the time, it'll be a poleless hoist? Or is it 50-50, just as a sort of rule of thumb?
Which stance you would put the pole up first?
I saw a quite cool one recently where they're putting the pole up first and putting the pole up while they're on, I think, so that's on the port. So they put the pole on
the wrong side.
Well, no, so they put the pole on while they're on a port tack going upwind. Then they tacked with the pole up, jibed with the pole up, and then hoisted so it was ready for. So the pole was already out before the jibe.
So in that situation, you need to have the spinnaker ready to hoist from the starboard side.
Yes.
And I guess that it becomes a complication if you've got the spinnaker on the wrong side of the boat and you want to do a manoeuvre let. That means it's going to be on the wrong side. If you do a windward hoist and there's an opportunity for it to go wrong, it can get caught inside the spreaders or around the shrouds, and you can find that even in the top diamond between the main shroud and the mast, it can get stuck in there. I think one of the things that I would encourage everybody to try and do is to actually just get the spinnaker up, and between the trimmer and the helmsman, just practice driving and sailing the boat without the pole at all, and just get the feel of how it works. Do lots of jibes and see how high you can go before the spinnaker collapses and you lose it, and at what point you need to put somebody onto that guy to actually hold it up, and then just practice that type of manoeuvre. So if you can do certain things without the spinnaker pole for both the hoists and also for the drops, then it just gives you options for, the pole's not there to get in the way. It's not going to get caught around a sheet, it's not going to get stuck through the sail, it's not going to get stuck in between the lowers and the uppers when you're trying to stow it away on the boom. There's just something else it's got a potential to go wrong, so it's something to practice. How can we sail without it? I think it'd be very unusual to lose one or snap one, but nevertheless, to be able to sail without one, so you've got options at the windward mark. You might come round and you're in a bunch of boats, and you might want to put the pole on and hoist, but actually you might find that the bunch of boats that you're with are just going to put the pole on and hoist, and actually you want to just jibe round the back of them and get away. So if you can get that kite up poleless and just get sailing, and then worry about putting the spinnaker pole on afterwards, then I guess last week I spoke a lot about what's in my head, and some of the things that can psych me out. If I know that I've got the opportunity and I've got that in my arsenal to be able to get the spinnaker up and have it drawing and pulling the boat downwind without having a spinnaker pole on, then it just opens up that option for me to make that last minute decision. The crew might not necessarily like it, but it's a last minute decision. You see something unfold in front of you, and you just see that perfect gap that, you know what, that's my gap. I'm going for that, and you make that last minute decision, the kite goes up as normal, you tell them that you're going to do a jibe as you go for it, and it sets, and then you worry about the pole afterwards. And
So that is the other option.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the spinnaker on the normal port side, and you want to do a pretty quick jibe, but you're not confident of doing a windward jibe, see it's a bit windy,
yeah.
then you would do a hoist, poleless hoist, and then a jibe as soon as you could, and then put the pole in afterwards. That's sort of the normal third option that you might have.
So in that case, you'd come along like the, and then hoist the spinnaker about here, and then just jibe quite
Try and
quickly.
get it filled.
Yeah, and then jibe quite quickly and go off this way and put the pole in there. Yeah.
Can I ask, does everyone pull the spinnaker out the bag and throw it out to the side when they're hoisting as well? That's one thing that always surprised me about sailing 707s, is the fact that to get a really good clean hoist,
Chuck it, get it
is you
clear.
pull the spinnaker out of the bag and just chuck it out to the side, and that's something that wasn't new. I don't know whether everyone does that or not. But
That was one of the things I was going to ask as well. If when you are hoisting spinnaker, do you actually put it out through behind the shroud, or do you put it in between the mast and the shroud?
Yes, one of the most important things is to, as Peter says, not just sort of pick the spinnaker up and sort of push it out or anything like that. You actually really have to get somebody to pick the whole thing up and
Launch it.
throw it, not up or anything sideways.
Yeah, and not down.
not down the
I think that's the reason when people are learning that it often gets hoisted gradually out of the bag, because there's so many times it's been thrown and just gone straight
plunks in the
fishing.
water.
But what you have to be able to do is have confidence in your crewmen, because you've got the guy throwing and the mastman hoisting from the mast. So those two have to coordinate with each other to make sure they're both ready. So the mastman shouts and ready whatever, and then the pitman shouts and throwing. So they throw mastman hoists and guy and sheet pull. So you've got this lump of cloth going out the side of the boat, and then you take the three corners and pull it apart as best you can. If you get the throw right, it's remarkable how often everything else goes very smoothly. If you make a contour of the throw, it all gets snagged and tangled and so on.
Especially with the size of the spreaders, and so would get caught behind them quite easily.
So therefore, if you're going to do that, something that you need to think about before you throw it is where's the spinnaker halyard. Because it's quite easy for the spinnaker halyard when you're sailing upwind to find itself behind shrouds and behind the spreaders. And if you let the mainsail out lots and then try and throw the spinnaker out underneath the boom, then the mainsail can quite often trap the halyard, but in that triangle or behind, between the spreader and the sail, or between the shrouds and the sail. So it's important before you go around that top mark that you're aware of where that halyard is and that it's been flicked round. Or I guess, as we heard last week, Dara has a particular clothes peg that was only 50 pence versus Murphy's £10–20 bit of plastic that he bought to hold the halyard in place. We often sometimes as well just put one wrap of tape around the halyard, comes out quite, so that from the top of the mast down to the shroud, literally about this far up from the side deck, it was taped so it was taut and in front of the shrouds. So it was enough that when you pulled it would break, but it was also enough that it would hold it so that it just wouldn't flap and go round the back.
I always think as well, last tack before the mark, the bowman, that's the last thing you should check before the last tack before the mark. So if everyone has a list of jobs that they do, they know that the bowman's going right, it's the last tack before the mark, where's the kite out, is everything ready, so I know. So you know you've got in your head exactly what you're going through.
As you're talking about lists of things, there's a very good article which you can find on the class website, written by somebody off the boat Dole. It was written years ago,